Welcome to TechReview, powered by Axel Springer. Here we explore the latest trends, news and updates from the world of technology. This podcast is the perfect source for staying up to date with what is important to know right now. You can watch all episodes on YouTube or listen to us on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcast while you work out, drive, or maybe even travel through space. Today we are in a very small round with my co-host Vincent and myself, I'm Tarek. Hi.
Hello.
All right. So Vincent, how are you today on this very hot summer day?
It is, the summer is back for a last, I don't know what you call it. Summer is back, and therefore I'm very, very hot. But I'm sitting, and maybe my sound is giving it away. I'm sitting in a very climated room, which is great. Yeah. But because there's construction next door, they are currently playing around with the AC, and that playing around the AC led to the AC being turned up on full, which is very nice, but very loud.
Right, yeah. I'm personally definitely not a summer person, so when it's hot over 30 degrees, I don't really enjoy it, at least not in a big city. Maybe on a beach or something, but not as it is right now.
No, I feel the same, and I think it's part of us both being more an indoor person in the job, right. And also maybe privately, I would argue. So, yeah. Fall and winter is better for indoor.
Right. Also for podcasting, I have my lights here, and this is very, very unpleasant sitting here right now. So let's get to the news.
Yes.
And I brought an article from Business Insider, which I find very, very creepy. And it's about China's military claims to have found a way to build a laser weapon that can fire indefinitely. And this is quite interesting because I did not even know that we are talking about laser weapons today, but yes, that seems to be a thing. Chinese scientists claim to have developed a breakthrough cooling system for high-energy lasers, allowing them to fire indefinitely without overheating. If this is true, then this advancement could give China an edge over the United States in developing laser weapons. The system involves blowing clean gas through the laser chamber to remove waste heat, making the lasers more compact and efficient. Such lasers have the potential to revolutionize warfare by shooting down drones, missiles, and aircraft at almost the speed of light. While the US has also been developing laser beam weapons, limitations include reduced power at long distances and susceptibility to weather conditions. And of course, we know there are these laser-guided or laser-operated anti-missile systems, but I did not know that we are actually in a race for developing laser weapons that, I don't know, melt down tanks or something like that. This sounds really science fiction-y, but apparently this is a topic that we are going to talk about in the upcoming years, that we now see something like a laser-based weapon race with China.
I'm not very. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I just wanted to ask you if this is something that you were aware of.
No, and I love that you ask, because no, I am not aware. I'm not very informed about the technological evolutions and revolutions in the defense and military sector. However, we know that de facto there is a lot of money and a lot of funding, because there's a lot of relevance on the topic, and then B, therefore there's a lot of development. So innovation often comes from a more military use and a military purpose. Look at the last century. A lot of our developments in the end are coming from, or did come from, military use, or at least they were designed for that. And therefore, no, this is new to me, but I think this is it's brutally interesting. Interesting, because now obviously I ask myself, what else could we do with that? There is much more. I could see that being much more. I can see at least 10 use cases. Not that I could name them, but I think that this is something that we are seeing in weapons now, and I think in a decade or so, or faster maybe, we're going to see a lot of it in a lot of different other use cases. So very interesting.
Right.
And now, this.
Let's talk about something more pleasant.
Yeah, and it is very pleasant. It's very interesting. So X has a creator program, as Meta has, or Instagram has, and Facebook, I think, too. YouTube has one for sure. TikTok is in between, as far as I'm concerned, and there's a lot. Snap has one. There's a lot of it, and X has one too. And obviously, they want to get creators to stay in the platform / go back to the platform. They want them to be there, and therefore they have a creator program that currently looks very attractive. It started out with 15 million impressions on their posts. In rolling 3 months. So, and I think a specific amount of followers that you need to gain on X, and I think something else. However, they cut this number down to 5 million in 3 months. So it's 10 million less, and I think also the follower count decreased to 500, which means that becoming part of the creator program at X is now much more easy and therefore very attractive for a lot of creators. There is one problem, however, which is that only impressions of verified accounts count, right? Because still X has a big problem with fake accounts. So the question still stands, is it actually possible to make enough money there with only impressions from verified accounts make them count? And on top of that, you can only join the creator ad revenue share program if you are a subscriber to X Verified or X Blue or whatever it was called. Or it is called. I would have to look it up. So therefore, the threshold number one is make enough money to get back the investment that you have, or that you are taking by investing, I don't know how much money is currently, $7.99, I think, for the X Creator program. The verified account program. And I thought it's very interesting, so I'm bringing it here today.
Yeah. Do you think that this is like a normal step in the evolution of X, or formerly known as Twitter, or if this is a reaction to their brand problems that they have right now with everything that is happening in negative news around Twitter, X-Twitter, called X-Twitter? That's nice. The X-Twitter.
Yeah, like Steve Jobs. I mean, remember he got fired from Apple, and then he founded a new computer company, what's called Next. So, and it was, I mean, speaking quite figuratively for what's happening here. So, and I think maybe this is also the next. It's X.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I think it is both. I think that on the one hand, creators being the core drivers of content, and being more and more the core drivers of content, and less companies, less corporations, less professional studios, that it just is much more relevant that they're part of the creator program. And I think eventually what I could see, I'm not saying it's 100% likely, I'm just saying I think I wouldn't be surprised if one of the outcomes in a few years is that everyone is part of the creator program. And everybody's getting paid, maybe a very low share, and that shares go up as much as more content you're producing or something like that. But what I can see is that it is just very normal, and it will become even more normal to be part of that program, because platforms are making more money with you. You're posting a lot more content, and the amount of views that goes to creator created content and non the professional content is just going up.
Yeah.
So, yeah. On the other hand, I think that the price right now to get in, the price, as I'm calling it, the amount of work you got to put in there. So what you got to pay, like in work, that they're decreasing it, I think is just a very, very regular dynamic, and then not regular. Sorry, it's a very foreseeable move right now for X to make sure that the creators that are still on the platform stay there, because I think that we spoke about Threads a few times in the past, right? But what I think we all can agree on is that Threads actually is a very decent app, and they made a very decent launch. And I think, therefore, Thread is a threat for X, definitely. And Threads is a threat for X, and therefore I think they're doing everything right now to keep creators on the platform. And part of it is making it very easy to be to make value of what you're doing on that platform.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure that Elon Musk is going to create like a laser weapon company next or something.
Yes. Yeah, laser X laser.
Yeah.
Lexa.
The boring laser gun.
Oh, yes. The boring
flamethrower.
laser. Yeah, I love that. No, but what I think is, I mean, let's see how Meta reacts to that, right? Because, I mean, Meta is really good in copying. And when TikTok, for example, was under a lot of pressure, and I mean, they are until today, of not paying their creators well, Meta went out of the way to create an appealing program. I'm not saying it is brutally appealing. I'm just saying they are, and let's leave YouTube out of the way because they're just different, and like they are just much deeper in the how to reward our creators generally. But Meta made a more appealing program, and I think that they will do something very, very, very similar on Threads. For example, I mean, they're not charging for verification, which could be the major difference that will in the end convince them.
Right.
So I think we'll see. But I think that Meta will come back to this 100%.
Right.
And now, this.
Let's jump to another very interesting headline.
Tarek, you have so much science today with you.
Yeah,
it's
I don't
crazy.
know. Usually, I was surprised about my own articles because I literally feel like in a science fiction novel, reading the news about first laser weapons, and now something that I read on Al Jazeera about US scientists achieve net energy gain in fusion reaction for the second time. And this is literally what, like 10 or 20 years ago, the science fiction world was all about: laser weapons and fusion energy, right?
Spider-Man, all about it, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. The second Spider-Man with Dr. Octopus, this was exactly with fusion power. US scientists have achieved net energy gain in fusion reaction for the second time. This is what we all were waiting for, that we can finally, I mean, not like in practical use case, but now at least in the lab, we see a working fusion reaction. And now for the second time, this was measured, and this is marking the progress towards this clean and limitless energy source, which we want to have to combat climate change. And we are all working. We are all waiting for this for such a long time. Researchers at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California replicated their fusion ignition breakthrough in July, obtaining even more energy than their previous success in December. And this achievement has generated optimism about fusion potential, the fusion's potential role in future energy solutions. And they, in this article on Al Jazeera, I even read the numbers that they generated. And in this experiment, they have generated 3.15 megajoules of energy output after the laser delivered 2.05 megajoules to the target. And in the past, this was all academic because you had to invest more energy to make this happen that you were getting out of this. But this now shows that we can actually generate energy or utilize this energy that we are generating in these fusion power reactors. And what I am kind of sad about is that we don't read more about this news in the news. I found this article and I looked for it, and some outlets were talking about this, but it does not seem to be like major news that you read everywhere. We read about, I don't know, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg getting into a fist fight or something like that. This is more newsworthy than achieving fusion power that we might even use to replace all harmful energy sources that we have today. So this is weird. Why are not more people talking about this?
I think a lot of people just don't comprehend what's happening there, but I think I think it's just amazing. And yesterday I participated in a talk of Alex, who sometimes is joining this call as well here, this meeting, and this podcast. And Alex showed us a chart of tech and AI and how they're powering themselves faster and faster and faster. And it's like a spiral that goes faster and faster because tech that we produce, like the chipsets that we produce to run AI, powers the next generation of AI. The next generation of AI will power the development of the new chipset, and it speeds up over time. And I think this is what's happening right now, right? We did the first time, and we had the first net energy gain, which was significant in comparison, but still very tough to comprehend in terms of how much use it actually has. Now this is the next one, and I think we're going to see more proofs and more proofs and more proofs. And the data points that we're generating in those experiments will help us to power the next generation of experiments that will then gain more data points. And I think this is just speeding up. And then, I mean, with all that's happening right now in artificial intelligence, or right now large language models that show glimpse of artificial intelligence, glimpses, is that plural? Whatever. But I think we're at a breaking. I think we're at the turning point of that. Very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I really would love to see what history books are going to talk about, like when they are reporting about the year 2023. Like, people were so busy with important things like Elon Musk's fist fights and playing around with ChatGPT that they did not really realize that they just invented clean fusion energy that is going to save the planet.
Academica Galactica. Yeah. No, but I think you are right about that. I mean, I think that there's so much information, right, that you block a lot out of it, even though you have more than ever before. Is that something that everyone can replicate? I mean, not everyone in the classic household. It's not like you're taking a bit of olive oil and salt and Coke and then you're good. No, but I mean, is this something where you need significant scientific institutions to make that happen, or is this something that also is some kind of institutions in Europe? Or I mean, we're based in Germany, so in Germany, with funding, yes, and with more or less a existing science feasible setup can replicate. Again, not at home or not, but as long as you have the basic foundation for something like that, do you think everyone can replicate it?
It's highly complex. Otherwise, it would have been done in the past. And as far as I understand it, we need artificial intelligence to control this fusion reaction. The AI must be able to control the magnetic fields so that the generated power can actually be harnessed. And I think this is the thing that never worked in the past. And now our software, actually, the AI is powerful enough to actually make this work. And so I think it is quite complex. Not everyone can just do it. But I think if the technology reached a certain point where we say, okay, now we actually know how to achieve this, this should be able to be replicated everywhere. I mean, then we have to, of course, talk about the patent rights and how people or how the companies are going to make money with this. But I'm pretty sure that this technology is going to become like a standard worldwide. And it's just a question of licensing and who's going to build this stuff.
I have a stupid question in that connection. Okay, it runs with AI. Is it running? What model is it running with? Is it running with a large language model? Is it? So it's not. I would argue it's not running with generative AI, but the other kind, the data AI. What is that called again? Can you help me with that?
I can't give you any more details about that. I just read that the controlling mechanism is powered by or controlled by AI, but I did not read exactly what the source is. I'm pretty sure that they are not just plugging in OpenAI's ChatGPT or something, and it's kind of happening.
Prompting, make fusion reaction.
So, I mean, it's actually quite a good question if it is a coincidence that today or this year, in the year of the generative AI revolution, where we start utilizing these large language models for basically everything, that coincidentally in the same year we make this AI breakthrough in controlling fusion reactions. But
that might be something for the history books. I can see this is one of the connections that only, in retrospect someone can say. So someone could say, we see those macro dynamics where AI is getting, and then we see that I can see.
Yeah. But it's really a good question. So I think I shall Google that.
Before I die out of curiosity, can you please help me? There's generative AI, and then the one creating new data points, and the other one working with existing data points. What is the specific term for that?
There's supervised learning and unsupervised learning in the classical sense, where you have these different ways of training your network, either by giving it the right answers to questions that you need to be replicated in the future. Or if you do not know the answer, then you have this unsupervised learning where you say, okay, give me some answers, generate some answers, even though I do not know if these answers make sense or not. And this is like a different challenge. But this is not directly opposed to like this generative AI terminology, where you generate new content based on like what's it called? Completion prompts, for example. Yeah. So
okay.
This is
Okay.
Those are like.
So I would argue.
Yeah, AI has very different flavors and ways to achieving like the results that you want to have. The one thing that everything has in common in AI is that you are not programmatically define the output based on a rule set that you set. Usually in programming, you write your code deterministic, that if you put in like the same input, you always get the same output. And in AI, you train a model that is evolving over time, where the output is then generated based on this, let's say, mental state of the network, which is evolving based on how it is trained.
All right. So from what I understand, then I would argue that this is not running on a generative, but on a discriminative AI model.
As I said before I say something wrong here, I have no idea how this is controlled. And I just read that before AI, or before this current state of AI, it was physically not possible to create these fusion reaction chambers that actually output this amount of energy to make it energy efficient. Yeah. Before, we already had something like fusion reactions, but we were inputting way more energy that we were able to harness, so it did not really make sense to use this in an industrial scale. All right.
I learned something new today. I hope you too, dear listener.
Yeah, of course. Even though I wish I could explain you in excruciating detail how this is actually working, but I have to quickly Google that so that I can.
We're gonna leave it to again. We're gonna leave it to now I forgot it again. The Academica Galactica.
Right.
What was it called?
All right, that's it for today. Tune in back with us next week when we talk about probably laser weapons and artificial intelligence and fusion reactions and Elon Musk fist fighting Mark Zuckerberg.
Stay tuned.
Bye.